Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. So, right now we're looking at Queen Adalberga, the cleansing flame of Thrace.
That's right.
Yeah.
She is okay, so she's 10 greats down the line from Terradin the Second.
Terradin the Second.
So she's 11 generations removed from the last time I played.
Wait.
So that makes her significantly removed from the actual Haravoi, but still more of a Haravoi than the current claimants.
Let loose the hounds of war!
Fuck! Who's it?
He's running. After we drop this truck off at base, want me to take you guys real quick to get a look?
Take him out, Taze.
Whoa.
I think what they should say is they just got fucking outplayed.
Yeah, no.
So, where are we looking here? When did you actually take over Anatolia?
That would be. Let's see here. Yeah, this guy, Terradin the Second.
Now where the fuck is he? Because I'm looking at
He's the founder of the bloodline, which should be fairly easy to find.
Terradin Haravoi? Or Haravoi?
Terradin Haravoi the Second.
He's... wait, okay. Yeah, okay. I found him. So this is when you took over Anatolia?
Yes.
And formed the original Haravoi Empire?
Let me see here. He founded the Haravoi Empire, but he was not the one that set. He did most of the conquering. His father is the one that consolidated a lot of power here. The Haravoi originated out in the Ural Mountain region of modern-day Russia, right about here.
Where are we gonna look at? There's your kingdoms, I guess would be the best way to find it, and you were in the Pechenegs, so it's like...
It's where Cumania, Khazaria, and Bulgaria meet. Right in that mountain region.
Yeah. Do you
That's
remember
the
what your first capital was?
Oh, fuck no, man. Lost to time.
Fair enough. But essentially in this area.
In that general
mountains.
vicinity.
Okay. And then you...
straddling the mountains, you know, raiding the local peasantry.
And that was his dad that did that?
Yes. That was
Terradin the First?
Hoshi Air.
Oh.
Terradin the First. Terradin the First was the first character I played, which was essentially just an attempt to consolidate power. Hoshi Haravoi was the first conqueror to kind of spread. This was the character I was playing when our borders finally touched between.
Oshi?
Yes, between the Pechenegs and let's see here, the Kievan Rus.
When we were still in Crimea and still
That's
existed.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Terradin was the one who crossed the Carpathians into Anatolia and
So what
set
did
in
you do?
motion.
Just like take out the Khazarians and the other horse lords around you?
Essentially, the Khazars were having a lot of internal struggles at the time.
Yeah.
It made, I believe, let's see. Here. Yeah, the Khazars were having a great deal of internal struggles at the time. Through some marriage alliances with some horse lords that lived here. Again, I can't really remember the name of them, but they weren't Pechenegs.
Yeah.
We were able to break free from under the yoke of the Khazars as a tributary to absorbing them on our way to Crimea.
And then you went through Alania into Georgia?
That's right.
And who were you when you did that?
Terradin the Second.
Teradin the Second, the Bloodhound of Pecheneg.
That's right. Teradin II was the Great Conqueror, the one that transitioned over from the steppe to sacking the Byzantine Empire.
Did he actually settle in Anatolia, or?
No, he just took the land. I believe it was his son. It was his son that.
Did he successfully get all of Anatolia?
No. There were some remnants, de jure Thrace, Prusa, Nicaea, that area. But Trebizond, Anatolia, Armenia, Georgia, that would be what was first by Teradin.
Who was the guy that finally settled?
That would be his fourth-born son, Kegan the Bottomless.
Kegan the Bottomless.
That's right.
Oh, he's brawny as fuck. Lustful.
In addition to being the man who settled the Pechenegs in Anatolia, he was also the one that converted them
to Sunni.
That's right.
Because if you look at his dad, his dad's Sunni too.
Was he? Let me see.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. So it was Teradin II that adopted Sunniism, and it was Kegan that actually set.
And I think still to this day, it's friggin' Sunni.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's some Jews near Mecca for some weird reason. But I mean, that whole area was,
due to the population of the actual Pecheneg horde, the amount of actual land that converted over to Pecheneg and Sunni just by virtue of population was immense.
Now, are these Greeks that are coming back into Anatolia, are they like remnants, or are they coming back from somewhere?
These Greeks? What do you mean?
If you look at the culture map mode?
The Greeks in Anatolia currently.
Yeah, did you wipe them out, and they're coming back, or did you try to wipe them out? And
remnants. I like to think I ran a fairly tolerant empire. If you actually look at tolerance tech, it's at its height in Race, where my capital was.
Yeah.
I tried to have a kind of culturally diverse, religiously diverse country, both for the purposes of jizya tax and to seem, a little more nicer than my Western contemporaries.
Fair enough. So then,
granted, that still didn't stop the Georgians, the Armenians, the Alans from being pretty much entirely supplanted.
So then after, was it Kegan the Bottomless that settled?
Yes. Let's see here. Kegan the Bottomless, and it was Kegan II, his son, that finally broke the walls of Constantinople.
The Bottomless was the one that...
No. The Bottomless died in a duel. Kegan II took the reign shortly thereafter, stabilized the empire. I mean, this was the first official succession within what became the Haravoi Empire. With the aid of... what was it? It was Chinese siege engineers. This was where Kegan II was the one who actually besieged Constantinople and killed off the reigning dynasty at the time.
Did you have a Chinese wife at all, or?
No,
wow.
You can see that a lot of his children were sent over to China. This was kind of where my relations with China really started. Also, he died of the cancer that ended up killing off his primary line.
A lot of cancer in this line. Wow.
Yeah, well, just where it mattered.
So then, Timur the First, who's kind of fat. What did he do? Anything of note?
Timur the First. Let me see. What year was this? 919. 919 was around the time that our borders were really started to consolidate. I believe by this point, Israel was under our control. modern-day Israel, that being the Levant, was under our control. Damascus, we were pushing into Persia through this northern kingdom, Dailam. We hadn't actually made any direct moves against the Abbasids. However, they were kind of crumbling due to outside forces and their own decadence, and the Haravoi were soon to supplant them.
Where's Damascus?
That'd be in Syria.
Really familiar with.
That's a Sunni holy site.
To the right of Jerusalem.
Oh yeah, okay. So, where were we? Kagan, Tamir first.
This was probably the most tumultuous point of my empire before, its decline following the reign of Temur the. Because Teradin II, who took control after him, was primed to be an incredible ruler. However, he died at the young age of 34 in a duel with himself.
What?
This was the day I couldn't play because I was at my great-grandfather. I was. What was it?
Can I explain what happened?
He dueled himself and died.
I would prefer you not. I've heard it plenty.
Sorry, what?
He was supposed to be. Anyways, this was the point. These two emperors here, these two Khagans, and Teradin II, they were when I didn't personally have the reins over the Haravoi Empire.
Okay. He still didn't do too bad, I guess, other than killing himself in a duel.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so Balgor.
Died of plague. So that that puts the date around about. Let's see.
Yeah, the plague hit
around the
around 970, so he would have.
Mm-hmm. This was really before the true rapid rise of the Haravoi to conquer Persia and Africa and all that.
Yeah.
But about the borders of the Haravoi Empire today are where Balgor's Haravoi Empire.
So then after Balgor dies of the plague, he's pretty sympathetic to other religions too.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a nice guy. Oof, lots of kills though. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean it was a rough time. The Black Plague.
Yep.
After him, you can see how many of his children died young of the plague.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like,
all except one, Temur the Proselytizer.
he's strong though. He's a very strong dude.
Mm-hmm. Temur the Proselytizer was his reign was brief and plagued a little bit by madness. He was the one who continued the work on that statue of a horse in Theodosiopolis. Theodosiopolis. It has yet to be finished.
Oh, okay. Whereabouts is that? I can't really tell.
South of Trebizond.
Oh, it still hasn't been finished.
Still hasn't been finished.
So
However, the great works that were built at this time, the Sinope Mosque, the gardens in Samara, a few. Sinope, that'd be west of Trebizond. You can see it there along the coast, the mosque.
I really can't. What do we got here? We got Soaring Mosque of Sinope. Okay.
Yep. Temur II earned his name through being a, let's see here. He was a Hafiz, so he was someone who completely memorized the Quran. Wasn't much of a soldier, but he was the one that spread Sunni back to the actual horde of Pechenegs. You can look at the religious map mode, and it's still quite Sunni.
Oh yeah,
So-
all the way to Siberia.
Mm-hmm. He was the one that pushed the faith
So this is
northward.
Tamir II that pushed it all the way to Siberia. Okay.
And his reign was relatively brief. Died under suspicious circumstances.
As a lunatic.
That's right.
Lost his fucking mind and someone killed him.
His son was the. This was the Golden Age.
Oh, Suleiman.
Suleiman the Wolf.
Yeah, this is definitely the guy.
The man, the myth, the legend, the one you've been waiting for, Suleiman the Wolf.
Alright, so let us in on some details about Suleiman here, because this was the guy. This is the one that you would hear about all the way in freaking Ireland. You'd hear about this guy.
Well, Suleiman, to begin with, was the one who finished off the Abbasids in the Middle East. He conquered through Persia. And he was the one who put the yoke on the Kemet after the Crusade.
That'd be
saved
Egypt.
them. And what was that?
So Egypt.
Egypt, yes. He's the one that made them a vassal for about 100 years.
And he died of natural causes, so he must have done quite a few things.
Mm-hmm. He finished the conquest of Greece, pushed our claims up the Danube into Bulgaria. But primarily, the main reason his reign was so long was pure stability.
Alright.
And as you can see from his learning, he's the one who pushed science and the cultural status quo for.
So what
This
was his was the secret of Suleiman to peace?
The secret of Suleiman to peace.
Yeah. What was his big secret to creating peace in the Haravoi Empire?
A complete and total lack of decadence, and at this time, with so much security over the Silk Road, it was essentially being able to pay, making enough money to pay off just about every single vassal, made his reign fairly stable and long-lasting. He reigned from 6 years old, so 60 or 71 years. And it was done mostly through Silk Road gold.
He's got like a ton of virtues, and then he's proud and lustful. And a drunk. Oh shit.
Well, he did see a bit of combat. You can tell, scarred. The drunkard bit came from that. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Possessed came later on as a result of his work with the Hermetics, which he led for about 35 years as a mystic.
Oh, he was in the Hermetic Society.
Yes, he was. 20 learning. Wrote several books, I guess most of which are lost to time and the chaos in the Middle East. And as you can see, he had sympathy for all religious groups, excepting pagan.
Of course, the filthy pagans.
The filthy pagans. This was about the point where I began funding Catholicism in the West as a kind of a buffer against you, and well, look where that got his descendants. But his lasting claim to fame would be, some would say fabricating, our rivals would say fabricating. I would say a rediscovery of his Alexandrian blood.
Oh, those bloodlines. The immortal blood of Alexander.
Mm-hmm. So we was cons and we was conquerors.
Yeah, the blood of Coggan too, and the immortal blood of Alexander.
Mm-hmm. Now, his heir, as you can see, he had several children, most of whom he outlived. One of his last sons was the one who took the reins after him, and with the void left by the Abbasids being completely conquered, Caliph Porkatai was the first caliph of the Haravoi.
Of Korkutai the Priest Hater.
That's right. That was for personally dueling several Christian priests within the realm. Which is also what cost him his fate.
He has a lot of kills, probably the most out of all your characters.
Well, he's up there. Not the most, but he's up.
Who would you say has more kills than Caliph Korkutai?
Korkutai.
Korkutai.
You see here.
I think he's the highest at 109. I've been kind of checking.
Check.
Ooh, shit.
Terradin the Second had 140.
Terradin the Second?
The Bloodhound.
147. Woo! That's crazy.
Let's go back to Caliph Korkutai. Like I said, first Caliph fought in the first Sunni Jihad. I believe this was for
Sicily?
As a kind of a counter to the crusade that took place in Egypt.
And Sicily's still Sunni,
That's right.
even though it looks like the Christians have taken it back.
Not they have. Not that he would have minded. In his older age, he did develop a sympathy for Chris. But in his younger years, he got a nickname, and it's
Burned down my capital.
Killed a lot of his own wives, though. Holy shit.
that's a common theme among the Haravoi Emperor. Institutionalized fratricide and, well, I don't know the term for spousal killing, but that was pretty common.
So then, Yeek the Blessed? How do you pronounce that?
Caliph Yakay.
Yakay? Okay.
Mm-hmm. This was, as you can see with his education, kind of the transition of our power over to. This was the Caliph that conquered the Kemet. So, as far as greatest extent is concerned, this is the guy.
As far as what is concerned?
Greatest extent of the empire is concerned.
A lot of kills on him, too.
This is the man. He was trained in intrigue, so as a spy, because this was the point where I started to fear internal threats more than external ones. I mean, I had, 160,000 troops at this.
Yeah, he had by far the biggest army in the world, by a long shot.
Mm-hmm. And he was also the one that made the Haravoi truly imperial. So imperial succession laws, imperial control, complete abolition of the royal council.
And he was slain by a prince of Alba.
That's right, in personal combat.
Interesting.
He was challenged to a duel, and by his own pride, even though it was quite clearly going to be a loss for him.
Definitely no craven. You can see that he's proud, deceitful, but not a craven.
But he probably should have thought better of it, as his death marked the rather rapid decline of the family and the empire.
I thought, now correct me if I'm wrong here, that his son, Timir, was the one that marked the decline of the empire.
Well, Timir,
oh, he had
a man with so much
for
promise.
pagans. Wow.
A man with so much promise, but it's a name that's going to live on in infamy.
Alright, so let's hear what happened with Timir.
He was smitten with a prince with a Persian princess who was a bit too much of a the term be Sino.
Which one would that
Cinephile.
be?
That would be his main wife.
Medevda? Or Medevi?
Medevi Parodian.
Okay.
And she begged her father to be sent to China, and unable to cope with the loss of his wife with such a great distance between them, he packed up in the night and left without a word.
He's kind of a shy guy. But
Well, he was. His reign would have been a calm and stable one had he not left the throne to his infant.
This is the first one I've seen out of the whole dynasty that has sympathy for pagans, though.
Well, I mean, we would call the Chinese pagan.
I think they'd be Eastern, no?
I think they'd be pagans.
Well, if you go to, who is it? One of them, yeah. Kurkatai has sympathy for Eastern religions. Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, and Taoist. So it's
Okay, let's just call them pagans and drop it.
Okay.
We're not happy about this one.
Okay, not happy about this one. And then Ippos died fairly young.
Died fairly young and under suspicious circumstances, despite his
I know this is painful for you because we're starting to get into the fall of the Haravoi. Well,
oh, we're well into it.
yeah, we're well into it, but it is interesting nonetheless.
He had a good chance to stabilize what was left for him.
By his father that abandoned him. How old was he when his dad left? Because I think he was still a child.
He was, I believe he was 6.
He was 6 years old when his dad left China and left him in charge of the caliphate?
Yes. The only caliph to ever abdicate, let it be known.
The only caliph to what?
Ever abdicate.
Oh, yeah. Abdicate.
Ever.
Anything else to say about I don't know. The Purifier?
Well, he could have gotten it on a bit more because the lack of that is kind of what killed the Empire.
He only had 2 children.
But the circumstances of his death aren't known. He died playing chess.
Oh.
Of a heart attack, or as one does.
And then the last caliph of the caliphate, Haravoi Corkatan, was murdered on the orders of King Clovis of France. And he had cancer, and he was only 13 years old. Wow.
He succeeded his father at age 3. He was discovered to have cancer at age 5. And in spite of that, he was raised as a successor and caliph. But the fact that he was the last of a great line that was in decline was too much of a juicy target for his enemies.
Enemies within and without, from what I've heard.
Within and without. His regent was integral, as I later found out.
Sorry, what happened with his regent?
His regent was integral in his death. A drowning in the gardens.
So the King of France ordered his regent to drown him in the gardens?
That's right.
Oh, God. And then after that, the vassals kind of fought over what was left, and, well, there you have it. It's kind of shattered now.
I mean, there's a measure of stability, even if it's slim.
Yeah.
The important part is that the Haravoi persists.
Yeah, so now we're getting to that. So, Queen Adalberga. And from what I understand, the last time she was or her line that she's from, was on the throne was when you're still nomads.
Terradin the Second. She is his great granddaughter.
She's
You
Catholic.
missed a great.
She's Catholic, but as you might note, has some rather significant Muslim sympathies as a Sunni,
Yeah.
and is secretly Sunni.
She's got a lisp. And she's homosexual.
Those two kind of go hand in hand, don't they?
Sometimes they do, yeah. And as far as I understand, the Emperor of Germania put her on the throne here?
I assume it was a attempt to restabilize the area. I mean, the Haravoi were colonies, and eventually the Greeks, due to their tolerance.
Yeah, I mean, after the Haravoi fell, there was constant warfare between everybody in the area. I mean, you can even see the Christians have like succeeded in the crusade, which would have been unheard of 100 years ago.
In more stable times, yeah.
Well, anything else you want to add?
The Haravoi have survived worse, and they will persist.
Yeah, I mean,
Perhaps not thrive, but persist.
They started out as steppe cons from the Ural Mountains.
That's right.
Pushed their way down through Georgia and took down the mighty Byzantine Empire. I think, how long did their reign last from? Where would we be?
Let me see.
It'd be Kegan the First that formed it, no? Yeah, Kegan.
Terradin this. How do we wanna consider this? The first war against the Byzantines or the fall of Constantinople?
Let's go with the fall of Constantinople, because, like, you wouldn't say that the fall of Rome happened before Rome actually fell.
That would be their reign lasted from 923 until 11. 267.
267 years in a very tumultuous age. That's definitely
That's
not
right.
something to shake a stick at. And they're still living on in Thrace, which was pretty much their capital. So, well, they're sharing territory with the Haravoi Empire in Thrace, so that's interesting.
The false Haravoi across the Bosphorus.
They're no longer the old Haravoi Empire. They've kind of just become the only Haravoi Empire because Persia seems to have given up the Haravoi name. Alright, I think that's about it, unless you have anything else.
I think my actions spoke enough for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty epic journey from a steppe con, not even the Coggin, to arguably, and I would say undeniably, the strongest empire of this timeline in many ways.
Well, it's not over yet.
That's fair enough. That's very true.
Well, thanks for this, Chaos. This helped me a bit.
Yeah, no problem.
Kind of going back through it. I enjoyed this.
Hell yeah, buddy.